resident of a state.
Yep.
And this gentleman, again, has perfected a document in which he claims has worked for him since 1992 that made him I don't know if it was Roberto who had mentioned this before, about a certain provision being a non-resident alien.
Right.
And that will give you certain protections from the Roman law system.
It will, but let me jump in there because I want to hear some more from you, but I just want to add something just in this straight away. Is that all right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Affidavit. An affidavit is signed, and an affidavit effectively cedes any authority or claim in terms of being a general executive or any standing. So when one signs an affidavit, one cedes all authority. So while one might be regarded as a non-resident alien and they may cede that point to you that you are regarded as a non-resident alien, you are not regarded as a sovereign or a head of state of your own estate, and you can't possibly get to be a equivalent to the occupant of the office of general executive with an affidavit. There are two choices, and they always give you the two choices, affidavit or affirmation. Have you seen the word affirmation in their statutes?
Oh, I was on the talk show when you went over that night. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So they'll say affidavit or affirmation. They'll then explain affidavit, but they'll never explain what an affirmation is. So I just want to say that if his claim is true, and I'm not disputing it at this point, but if his claim were to be true, then affidavit is the very worst format, and to me, it's no better than a deposition. A deposition is a deposit. It's a grant. So if you put something in deposition, you're basically granting it to the bar. You're granting it to the judge. And that's why a judge then can decide what they want to accept or not, because you've given it to them. Yeah? Yeah. So I just think this is, I'm suspect on that point alone, but it's interesting to see that these kinds of words are being raised in other places. So that's very good, Dean. Thank you.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I didn't think it would be applicable to UCADIA. I thought that perhaps as a stopgap for some folks in the U.S., and that's why I wanted to present it to you, maybe have you take a look at it, because, again, knowing that it was an affidavit, I know that you were, again, put it bluntly, signing away your farm to them.
Yeah, I think this is, one of the things that the reason I jumped on a few things at the start of the call tonight, if I can wrap this up, and if you've got other questions, please come back, but if I can just jump on this point in a wrap-up for our conversation at the moment.
Right.
Tonight about people using information and then kind of putting a spin on it, is that we're dealing with a monster. I mean, we're dealing with a monster that eats people up and has chewed up so many good people and ground them to dust that you could just cry. You could cry for the rest of your life with the injury that this organization, this monster, has done to people. So to kind of play on the sides and say, well, I'm going to test this or I'll test that, I mean, it's very, very dangerous. Things work sometimes because they want to create the impression that they work. Things work sometimes because people get blindsided at a local level and they'll slip something through and they'll fix it up later. But everything that we have been doing, absolutely everything in UCADIA, has always been premised that we've researched it, there's a provenance to it, there's a reason to it, there's a knowledge to it, there's a competence to it. And I'm just concerned with things like affidavit. Yeah? That's the only thing.
I agree. And I just, again, you having a much greater understanding of the canons, I wanted to throw it out to you and get your initial impression. Another question, I just want to tangential, because you're pretty clear with that. But again, I just want to bring it up, and again, if you read it, it kind of sounds a little racist. That's why when I first read, again, you haven't read it and you probably don't know the information, but it kind of applies to white people and.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll have a look at it and put the link in, and we'll have a look at it.
Yeah, it mentioned like the Dred Scott decision and a few other. Again, like I said, for whatever it's worth.
Okay.
And,
well, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the input on that, and I'll hope to speak to you again, Frank. And thank you so much for all you're doing for us.
Good on you. Okay. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I see Alpha 999 is back on. There's a couple more questions in the chat, and I'll get to those. I'll just unmute for Alpha, and then we'll keep going on the live calls just for the moment. Hello, Alpha 999. Can you hear us?
I sure can, Frank.
Hi.
You were mentioning just a minute or a little bit ago about the post office.
Yep.
And I'm thinking of the fact that when your notice of the existence of a will, could you not just registered mail the notice of the existence of the will to specific people, possibly even the clerk of the court on a matter you're dealing with? Could you not do that? Wouldn't that put it onto the public record?
Yep. Look, the post is another form.
Yeah.
Look, it's all about making it irrefutable. What we do know, whenever they want to publish a fact, they'll publish it in the Gazette. They'll send it through some formal post. They'll do a number of different things to make it official. So in their system, they're using, notice, record, post, as different examples of that. So the short answer is yes. Yes. But
okay.
what I do want to do...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what I do want to do is I want to nail it in a way that people have a process based, obviously based on competence, but a process so that they don't have to sort of, kind of guess 20 questions what they need to do. But I haven't spent enough time on post, nearly enough, to give a definitive answer on how best to approach that. But in theory, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just got a matter that's coming up, and I wanted to somehow get this will issue on the public record. And basically everything I know, registered mail is the public record, especially if you're delivering it to the people you're dealing with.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Great.
Right.
Thanks.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go to a couple more questions just in the chat there before we get to Ron, who's back on. Questions are here from Galactic Sojourner. And this was actually a question that came out then. Is sending a document to yourself via registered mail a good way of having it recorded in private and public? We just answered that, and yes. Yes, it is. Got another question here from Judah. Can something be recorded through at the Canadian Embassy in a foreign country? That's an excellent question. Going to an embassy. I would have to answer for you that I don't know, and so that would be something I'd take on notice and see if we follow up. Now, someone who has a lot of experience with post, and he's just put a comment in there, and I just want to raise it for those that may not hear or see the chat, and it's from Michael Morris, and Michael says, registered mail is private post. So this is I did say to you that I haven't done enough research between first-class mail and registered mail, and this is why I would say to anyone that's just heard that dialogue that we just need to be very careful here. We will have some material on post, but I don't have a definitive answer yet to give you, so please hold on that thought. But I think first-class mail, from memory, has a connection to the traditional estate post, whereas registered may, as Michael's just said there, still be private. So please just be very careful. And that also Alpha 999, hopefully you can hear what we just said. Look, Ron's on, so I'm just going to unmute Ron and we'll get back to your questions. Please, if you want to speak, press *8, #8, or type in your question. Hi, Ron, can you hear us? Hi.
Yes, I can. In regard to mailing these documents back to yourself, what we're trying to do is create a link, like a number link that maybe a court could go back and get your document. So the preferred method is to get them registered or filed into the county recorder so you have a file number that can be referenced on other documents. If you mail it to yourself, it's going to be pretty hard for a court to go look it up in the recorder's office. That's just the word of the wise, Okay.
Yeah, I think that good point. Good point.
Because we're starting to reference, like on a rejection notice to a court hearing or something, we're putting the number of the recording of the Office of Executor, in that document. We're not giving them the document. We're just referencing the number.
Yes.
So you guys out there, if you really need to think about using the post, because in the end, it will not serve you well. Okay, let's get back to where I was. I don't know if Idaho is the only state with this problem. The problem being they won't take anything that has the word will in it, at least in the title.
Yep.
So I came up with another document called an affirmation. It's designed like an affidavit, but it's titled affirmation, and it contains the same information that the notice of existence of the will and testament does, but it's in affidavit form. So, okay, now, with Frank's permission, I will be placing the entire will and testament package up on the U of U, and I will do a mass emailing to get it out to everybody. All of the documents are in Word so that you can make changes. I'll have, there's instructions. It's all structured in separate folders so you can find the documents easily. But it's been a hard process, hasn't it, Frank? Putting the whole thing together. So I hope to have that done in a couple of days. So on for sure by Sunday, I'll have it up on the U of U under the download section. And I'll probably title it something like Will and Testament Package or something like that.
Right.
So if you could look at that affirmation and give me some input, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no, great. Look, Ron, I don't think people quite realize, I hope you don't mind saying this, but what makes UCADIA different, I believe, from a lot of other groups is that the collective and the willingness for people to share information. And Ron, I know that people are enormously grateful for the tireless work you're doing. So, Ron, thank you again for everything you're doing and all the research, and look forward to reading, and I'll get back to you on that note.
Oh,
okay?
Wait a minute. Let me respond to guest 9. Guest 9, we're not recording the will. Do not ever try to record the will. We are recording a one-page notice that the will is in existence and that certain people are in possession of a certified copy of the will. That's basically your wife and then 2 or 3 successors for the general executor position, and that's it. The will is 14 pages long, and the notice is only 1 page. And inside the package will also be the notice of appointment of general executor. So you'll only have to file 2 notices, which are a page apiece. And it's all self-explanatory. Thanks, Frank.
No, thanks, Ron. Good on you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Quick question, and Ron's doing a fabulous job. Many of you are doing a great job, and I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to get to East Pennsylvania in one moment, but I just want to answer 2 quick questions in the chat that were raised. Lee asked the question, Morpheus says, the monitor notes in UCADIan material, how far are we with these now? The short answer is the monitor and the money is ready, but the rules still have a good week and a half, 2 weeks to be in a published form. Without the rules, I'm concerned that we would be unleashing a system that even in a week and 2 weeks could cause abuse. And I believe that we want to minimize any possible risk of abuse. Even if it is a remote risk, I believe we should be strict with it. It's why the help on promissory notes, by the help on